Hello, welcome. This is the Resilient Rooster. I'm back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today I'm going to be showcasing Pendulum Magician. I'm not the best Pendulum Magician out there, so my friend helped me get all the replays. This deck is based around making the XZ Utopia Exexel and try to lock the opponent out. So this is their take on the deck profile. Feel free to make changes, and let's get right to the replays. So in this first replay, they're playing against Pendulum Magician, and they were going second. So this deck, as you saw in the deck profile, didn't run any hand traps. This is basically an aggressive build in order to make it as consistent as possible. Pendulum Magician, they require at least 2 cards in the scale to actually get somewhere. So my friend decided just to not run the hand traps and just try to brute force play through everything they have. So the metaphors didn't open very well, so my friend could just do anything that they want. And since this deck doesn't really run hand traps, it's kind of consistent in doing what it needs to do. So my opponent or my friend is just spamming the board, and they were able to basically get 2 level 7s and 2 level 6 without even pendulum summoning. So they were able to make the Odd-Eyes Vortex Dragon and the Beatrice, and Beatrice basically sends your rank up card, and once you rank up your cards, you can just finally pendulum summon. And the best one that you want to pendulum summon is a Toon Magician, since you get 2 level 4s, and by then you can make the Exexel, and if you don't finish them off this turn, hopefully your Exexel will stall you until the next turn. Not sure why my friend used the Purple Poison Magician, but it didn't matter since Odd-Eyes Vortex was there and it could negate any problematic cards. One of the things about Pendulum Magician is they make the Electromite consistently. Most decks, it's kind of hard to make an Electromite without pendulum summoning, unless you have cards that could just special summon freely. I know that Dynamists have cards where they could just special summon for free. Metal Foes have Rescue Rabbits to basically make it into an Electrum. And Pendulum Magician has the Astrograph and the Chronograph Sorcerer to basically get that second body on board. So my friend, they basically had the bread and butter plays. They made the Beatrice to make the Gaia Charger to get the rank up card and make the Exexel. So this is basically the bread and butter of the plays. My opponent, or like the opponent, was basically stuck with the Time Lord, but Time Lord is pretty tricky to get over since you can't destroy by battle or by card effects. So my friend basically maneuvered around to get around it. They basically had to make the Odd-Eyes Vortex or Odd-Eyes Absolute Dragon, that way they can bounce it back when they fusion summon. So they destroyed the Supreme King Dragon to get the Sorcerer on board to basically summon the Odd-Eyes Vortex to bounce it back. And this is way enough for a game. So I decided to try this deck on my own, and one thing I figured out was if your Chronograph Sorcerer or your Astrograph Sorcerer gets ashed in the Pendulum Zone, it usually hurts a lot since it messes up your synergy with your Magician cards, since they're considered Sorcerer and not Magician. But I was able to make an Electrum, and I was able to basically unbrick. If they had a Gold Ogre on top of that, I probably would have gave up, since they would have basically got rid of all the cards and I would have no place left. But since it didn't happen, I was able to recover. I was able to make the Beatrice, get the rank up card, and then make Utopia Exexel. So I was able to get out of it safely. I activated the effect, and my opponent activated it, or chained Scapegoat. And it seems like they're safe right now, but in Magicians you can basically make the Supreme King Venom Dragon, and what that allows you to do is basically attack for piercing damage. So basically all your cards can attack for piercing damage, not just Magicians alone. So I made the Zephyr Metatron to get space, and now I'm able to do piercing damage. So all I have to do is just get enough monsters on board, that way I can attack all the Scapegoats, and once I attack all the Scapegoat, it should be game. In the next game, I was playing against Paleozoics, and I get to go first. My opponent did have the Ghost Ogre, and that's one of the hand traps that basically slowed down this deck a lot. Since they basically hamper 2 of your extra monster zones that you can pendulum summon, you basically have to start from scratch. I also don't have the best hand since my scale is pretty low, 0 and 5. I wasn't able to draw to a high scale, so I basically had to work with what I had. So all I could do is really just make Electrum and hope to see that I draw a better card. I tried to see if I could get lucky, but I didn't draw the card I needed, so I basically had to pass. My opponent didn't have the best hand, since they couldn't really make a totally awesome, I sort of had one more chance to go off. And I think this is what the deck basically excels in. If they are not stopped, they basically can go off super hard. So I was able to Pendulum Summon for a lot of cards. The only traps that I had that did something was Candina, but I was able to play around it. I basically tributed with my Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, that way I have access to Vortex Dragon. And this is basically enough to attack for game. In this next duel, I was playing against Spirals and I had a decent hand. I had a good combination of low scales and high scales, so just in case anything goes wrong, I have a backup plan. So I make my first Electromite, but it gets game mode. So now I have to rely on my Pendulum Summon. I do have Wisdom Eye and Oath Magician, so I basically get a free card from my extra deck. So that I get a good Pendulum Summon off, I was able to get 4 because of Harmonizing Magician. I make my second Electromite, and I use the effect to draw a card, and that's hard once per turn. So as soon as I saw the card I drew, I probably should have looked at my field and maybe decided to make a Buguska. I got greedy and I went for the Starving Venom play to see what I could have done. I forgot that I didn't play a Norito, so even though I got 2 level 6 on the field, I wasn't able to make the Norito to at least have some negation on my opponent's turn. So this field was lackluster. It was probably better if I just made the Buguska, since I would have been able to stop what they're doing. They know my top card, so I just used my Beatrice to send a random card, that way it resets. And they got it wrong, but I don't think it mattered in the end since they had the sleeper, and the sleeper would have been able to basically get rid of my whole field. So they just attacked, and at this point I'm basically at top deck mode. And Pendulum Magician, they basically need 2 cards to go off since you need 2 in your scales. I tried to summon a monster, but it basically got stopped. There's nothing much that I could really do. I tried to prolong the duel, but I know that during my opponent's turn, they're able to basically get rid of all my cards and just attack directly. So at this point, I just surrendered. So that's it for the replays. If you enjoy it, please leave a like. If you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh content, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching and have a great day.